Alright, let's cut the fluff. Most of you are literally tracking KPI metrics for cold email that will not move the needle whatsoever. So, in this video, I'm going to break down the only KPIs that actually matter if you want your cold email campaigns to make you money, not just give you pretty dashboards. I've put them in order of the most important to the least important, so let's get into it immediately. This video is going to be about cold email KPIs that actually drive revenue. Who am I? I've run a cold email agency. I've booked over 1,000 sales calls and counting across dozens of clients. Let's get into the meat of the video. The number one KPI, and the only thing that matters, all of the metrics are trying to lead to this metric, and it's your CAC to LTV ratio, your cost to acquire a customer versus the lifetime value of a client. So you've probably been told to watch out for open rates, click rates, reply rates, bounce rates, domain health scores, yada, yada, yada. It's all just noise compared to quite literally the only metric that matters at all. This includes if you're working with a cold email agency. This includes if you're just running it on your own. So if you're bragging about an open rate percentage, but you're not closing any deals, then congrats. You're literally just wasting time and resources. The ultimate goal of your business is to drive meaningful revenue and profit. Therefore, the number one most important metric is how much have you spent on cold email and how much are you making back? That's it. So why track this? Well, this informs you on whether you can actually scale cold email as a client acquisition channel. Because if you can, then that's going to be your ticket to actual growth in your company. Here's an example. If you have a healthy CAC to LTV ratio, then you just need to send more emails and scale it immediately if your TAM allows for that, which it should. So more emails, more calls, more clients, more revenue. If you don't have a healthy CAC to LTV, then you need to fix the problem. So refer to the rest of this video and my last video too. The second most important, this is all in order of importance, so we're going along the funnel here. KPI 1 is the ultimate end of the funnel, but KPI 2 is the number of showed meetings per month is what I track. So why track this? This KPI tells you if booked meetings are actually turning into real conversations, that they're actually showing up. So bookings are useless if nobody shows up, obviously. So show rate is the difference between a bloated calendar and actual pipeline. So aim for 80% show rates over here in cold email world, from calls booked to calls showed. That's a healthy KPI in my opinion. Here are some examples. If you're booking 20 calls a week and 16 show up, that's 80%. And so you're golden there. Don't change anything. I've seen people try and optimize show rates beyond an 80% show rates. It's almost pointless compared to just doubling your email volume. Like there's nothing to fix, so just like hammer volume and scale it. If you're booking 20 calls and only 10 show up, that's like a 50% show rate. You need to get inside your funnel and you need to figure out what's happening. So I had a client recently, we booked our first 3 calls. None of them showed up. I said, this is not good. Something is going wrong here. I immediately pretended to be a prospect, booked a call myself, and then it showed that the prospects were actually booking 60-minute meetings accidentally. So we were booking the prospects in, and the prospect would see that the meeting was for 60 minutes. And so this particular ICP was lawyers, so of course, like, no one wants to spend an hour. This is why they didn't show up. It has to be half an hour. And so as soon as we implemented that, show rate shot up. Little examples like that you sort of like may miss first time around. But the point is that when you track these metrics, you can diagnose the problem. And so like just 3 calls in, we were able to diagnose the problem within the funnel, which were the show rates. So that problem's been solved. That's one example. KPI 3, the number of booked meetings per month. So why track this? This is the raw measure of how effective your cold emails are at converting interest into calls on your calendar. Without booked meetings, you will obviously not sign any clients whatsoever. So aim for at least a 20% plus conversion rate from leads to calls booked. So from interested replies generated to calls booked. Often though, you can get this to like over 50% plus, depending on a bunch of things, including like your offer, your industry, etc. So if I generate 10 positive replies and at least 2 book a call, that's scalable in my opinion. You're just about within KPI in my opinion there. If I generate 20 positive replies and only 1 books call, then I know something is fundamentally wrong and it needs fixing immediately. KPI 4, positive reply rate as a percentage. Why track this? This tells you if your messaging is actually resonating or not. And it is the first sign of message market fit in cold email. This is arguably the hardest to achieve, but obviously without positive replies, you can't book calls, you can't sign clients, and so you have no hope. So aim for a minimum 15% positive reply rate. If you have a really large TAM, sometimes you can even get away with a 5 or 10% positive reply rate if you've got a decent conversion to booked calls ratio going for you, and you can just send an enormous amount of emails. but oftentimes I would say 15% is good. I've run campaigns where it's like 70% plus sometimes. It all just depends on the ICP, the audience, and the offer. So here's some examples. If you get 100 real replies, so I'm excluding out of office replies here, and say 20 are interested, that would be a 20% positive reply rate. And I would call that message market fit. So if you get 100 replies and you get 5 that are interested, then you need to change the messaging because that is not good enough. KPI 5, reply rate. So this is excluding out of office replies and auto responses. Why track this? This tells you, in my opinion, if you're landing in the inbox enough. This is, are you meeting, is something wrong with deliverability? If you're not hitting at least a 1% reply rate, because even if you run a terrible campaign, you should still get enough people telling you to go away or unsubscribe that it should still meet a 1% reply rate. Even in the US, in the most saturated markets, even in the most saturated niches and verticals, you should still be achieving a 1% reply rate minimum. So I often see like 2 to 4% reply rates when reaching out to ecom, for example. I even ran a campaign once where I reached out to farmers asking them if they had an irrigation system, and the ones that said yes, that achieved like in total 20% reply rate. So I've never seen anything like that before or since, but it all just depends again on your offer and who you're reaching out to. And so here are some examples. If you contact 1,000 prospects and at least 20 reply, that would be a 2% reply rate, and I'd call that good. This is hence why you need a big TAM to make cold email work effectively. Hopefully 50k plus for you is what I would aim for. If you contact 1k prospects and only 5 reply, that's a 0.5% reply rate, then start investigating your sending infrastructure. Something's probably wrong with your deliverability. Something's probably wrong. Either they're burned because you've been using them a lot, or the messaging isn't working, so you're getting marked as spam and then your domains go to crap. It can be a bunch of things. It can be that you've set up the infrastructure wrong in the first place. I go over this in other videos, but I'll move on for now. So if you want results like these from cold emails, like my clients, then book a call with me at the end of the video. This is 40 calls within the first 7 weeks for Alexi here, now 62 per month. 139 appointments with the first 8 months for Maycheck. James closed 3 clients from my cold emails within 49 days, each client worth between 15 to 30k LTV. Eric here, I booked 19 appointments within the first month. Sophie closed 16k cash collected in the first 40 days. Lucas and Gustavo, 19 appointments booked within the first 31 days. Josh and Tyler here, an SEO agency, 20 appointments per month and a handful of deals closed. 14 goals booked per month for Joel here. 19 appointments within the first month for Paris. And so if you want to see if you're a fit, and if you only want to pay for sales goals that actually show up and you're a B2B company looking to run cold email, then I encourage you to take advantage of a free consultation from me to see whether cold email will work for you and your offer. No obligation to buy anything. If I can help you for free, I will. And here's the link, which I will also leave in the description. Hope to speak to you soon. Peace.